Hey there, and welcome to video number 3. I'm so happy to have you back. I hope the homework exercise wasn't too difficult, and it really shouldn't have been. It should have been an exercise in what could be and what should be, and hopefully you had some success in really thinking about and learning about what you do want for your own life. This is really the conquer portion of the slogan, clarify, commit, conquer. We talked about clarifying in the first video, and that was when we really thought about the assumptions that we've carried around all this time about ourselves that we shouldn't have, things that became our truths that we never questioned and never challenged. And we are now challenging them. We committed in video number 2, and we are now conquering. So there are some fancy positive psychology words that you're you probably hear a lot about in the press. Grit and resilience are two of them, and it's a really kind of fancy way of saying, lift yourself up by your bootstraps and put your big boy or big girl panties on. It's the same kind of thing because really it does require you are required on some level to take back control. Um, it's a difficult subject, but the fact that you're here leads me to believe that on so many levels you have grit, you have resilience, you have bounced back, you have come back, you have fought through all that crap from your childhood and from the past, and you really still want to do all you can do and be all you can be. And without sounding like an army slogan, um, the truth really is that so many of us, and myself included, were told at a young age and probably didn't have the adult communication that we should have, um, that we weren't worthy and that we weren't good enough. And it's time to really take control back. First thing I want you to do before I go any further is to take out a picture of yourself as a child and to put it someplace where you will see it every single day. I have a picture of myself as a child, I think about 7 years old, on my computer monitor, and I look at that every single day. And it helps to remind me of who I was before other people took control. Not before I let other people take control, because as a child we don't have that ability. But before other people took control, before other people told us who we were. Um, and that has been a very valuable tool for me. So every single day I sit down at this computer monitor and I see that little girl staring back at me, and I know exactly what I need to do to stand up for her, to what I need to accomplish for her. It's a pretty invaluable tool. So your homework, the miracle question, and I really hope you thought about it. There are some other things that we're going to talk about. One of which is being, some of the things you wrote in the miracle question assignment may seem so far-fetched to you. I really want you to understand that success happens outside of your comfort zone. So in order to achieve those things, you will need to take steps that are a little uncomfortable. That's where success is. If you stay inside your comfort zone, if you stay inside the circle of you, nothing is going to change. We have to go a little bit outside that comfort zone in order to really make significant change. Um, I've been asked quite a bit about introverts and extroverts and the difference between them and what it means if you are an introvert or an extrovert. I'm very much an introvert. So you may have noticed by now that doing videos is not necessarily, on the top of my list. Um, it's difficult for me, but it is something that is outside of my comfort zone, and so through that I can grow from it. However, if you are an introvert and you do things that are outside of your comfort zone, and you have to in order to change and grow, um, you need then to do two things that bring you back and center you as an introvert. So, and this is proven, studied, researched. So if it means you do something outside your comfort zone, you go and speak to someone that you normally wouldn't, or you go for a job interview that you normally wouldn't, or something like this with me, where I'm on camera, where I normally wouldn't be. Something introverted for me would be spending time by myself watching a couple of my Netflix shows, or catching up on a good book, or um, spending time with my kids, whatever it is. And you really need to do two of those things, two of those activities to kind of bring you back to that center. And that's fine. And that's how it should be, because life is about growth. And as we talked about in the last video, post-traumatic growth is not only possible, it's very doable. That's our end game. And that's where we want to be. But it is going to take some steps outside of that comfort zone. A lot of people think that success kind of looks like that, and success actually looks like this: a lot of failures, a lot of gains, a step forward, a step back. And it's those learning from those failures and the steps back that help you accomplish what you really want to. It's okay if you're not 100% comfortable with it. It's okay. In fact, it's better if you're not, because that's where growth happens. The same thing holds true for extroverts. Extroverts, who tend to be the more social people, to do something introverted, whether it be writing something, whether it be spending time alone, having to study, whatever it is, in order to bring yourself back to that level, that balance, you need to do two things that are extroverted to bring you back. So go to a party, go hang out with some friends, go spend time with a loved one. And those two things will help bring you back to center. There is no hard written rule about what goes into success, or what goes into achieving those steps outside your comfort zone, but one step at a time, one day at a time, a little push here and there outside the comfort zone will certainly get you moving in directions that you weren't before. Another thing that people have asked me about is procrastination. Procrastination comes from the fear of finishing something. Sounds pretty straightforward. But that fear of finishing something comes from the fear of being judged. Now, I know that this is something that we really all can agree with and all can understand. And the same holds true with procrastination. If you can picture a step each and every day, a little bit outside the comfort zone, and reaching that end point, and then understanding that you grow from failure, and being judged is something that we cannot control. But it goes back to video one of who the people are that are judging us. It's much easier to knock somebody else down than it is to actually take those steps yourself. And the people that judge us are the ones that find it easier to just knock us down. Those are the externalizers, if you remember from video 1 and 2. So my tip for procrastination is to do something. I mean, you've heard probably the 2-minute rule. I really go more with the 5-minute rule. Start something for 5 minutes. And if you're anything like me, and if you are an introvert, most likely, those 5 minutes are all you need to really get into it and to continue with it. Try not to think so much. Put the judgment out of your mind. Put the finish line out of your mind, and work every single day towards a step, one step towards the goal. When we have goals that are so large that they seem insurmountable, they often are insurmountable if you let them be. If you break them down and don't think about the time that it's going to take you, but if you break it down each day, you do one step towards that goal, that'll help you finish. And by the time you finish, you're not going to care so much what other people think, because it's a huge success for you. On the guide that you've all downloaded, there was a bullet points about no more ruminating. And what that means is that all of these past troubles, all of this trauma, all of this stuff that you've gone through, you cannot think about it every single day. You cannot talk about it every single day. And the difference between positive psychology and traditional psychology is that in traditional psychology, and those of you who have gone to a therapist know what I'm talking about, you tend to talk about the same things over and over and over again. And when I was 3 years old, this happened. When I was 5 years old, this happened. And it's very important to understand what happens and to get a grip on it. But when you talk about something over and over and over again, it really becomes part of who you are. And it becomes much more difficult to sort of move past. So really, I'm stressing to you, moving forward is no more ruminating. Stop thinking so much. Stop talking about it so much. Stop harping on it. Because as we talked about in video number 2, you cannot control what happened. And you cannot control the people who did it to you. You can only control yourself from this moment forward. And from this moment forward, you will have a picture of yourself as a child nearby. And that's the person you fight for. That's the person you want to succeed. The person that was before they were touched with the trauma, the untouched pure soul. The person you were. And the person you really still are. So no more ruminating. No more talking about it. No more thinking about it. It is what it is, unfortunately. I know a lot of people hate that saying, but the truth of the matter is, it is what it is. And we can only control ourselves going forward from this point. We are going to have a webinar, and you'll be getting a link pretty soon via email asking you to pick a date. If you cannot make any of those dates, you will get a replay. I try to spread out the dates so it's a weekend and a weeknight. But I feel that it's very important that now that you've gone through the videos that we actually sit and talk about it. So I'd love to have a Q&A with you. I hope you can attend. If you can't, you'll still get the webinar and all the information. And let's move forward from there. It's been my absolute pleasure speaking to you, and I can't wait to see you on the webinar.